Ukraine tests Hornet strike drone launched from aerostat. Ukrainian forces have tested an unusual tactic that could significantly extend the reach of the Hornet strike drone, launching it from a tethered aerostat at high altitude rather than from a ground-based catapult, a combination that Ukrainian sources claim nearly doubles the weapon's effective range. The test details of which circulated through Ukrainian military channels involved a Hornet manufactured by Perennial Autonomy being dropped from a balloon at approximately 8 kilometers altitude after the aerostat carried the drone 42 kilometers from its launch point. Ukrainian sources reported that the drone consumed only 5% of its battery capacity during the aerostat transit, leaving almost its full energy reserve available for the powered strike mission. Ukrainian operators claim the tactic could extend the Hornet's operational reach from approximately 150 kilometers to around 300 kilometers, though these figures have not been independently verified. The Hornet is a fixed-wing one-way attack drone built by Perennial Autonomy, a US-based company linked by multiple published reports to a network of technology firms connected to former Google CEO Eric Schmidt. The drone has a wingspan of approximately 2 meters, carries a payload of around 5 kilograms, cruises at roughly 100 kilometers per hour, and is equipped with an AI-assisted guidance system designed to resist electronic warfare jamming. It launches from a pneumatic catapult with an estimated unit cost ranging from $5,000 to $12,000 depending on configuration. The defense blog has covered the Hornet's expanding operational and training footprint extensively, reporting on its use by U.S. Army units in Lithuania, Poland, and Germany during exercises in May 2026, and its live-fire deployment against simulated Chinese amphibious targets during Balikatan 2026 in the Philippines in April and May. In Ukraine, the weapon has earned high marks from military operators who use it specifically for controlling logistics routes deep in Russian-held territory. The combat record of the Hornet in Ukraine has been building rapidly. Ukraine's 1st Azov Corps of the National Guard confirmed systematic use of Hornet drones to strike Russian supply routes across the Donetsk region, including roads around Volodar, Andrivka, Holyuka, Lysychansk, and the Donetsk Ring Road itself. Video recordings showed the drone operating over occupied Donetsk city at distances exceeding 50 kilometers. From the front line, Azov pilots stated they were patrolling roads up to 160 kilometers behind the line of contact, and in May 2026 the Corps pledged to push strike depth even further. Analysis group Tokniai documented that mid-range strikes of this type more than doubled between February and March 2026 to at least 288 raids targeting Russian supply depots, logistics vehicles, electrical infrastructure, and air defense systems in the rear area. The operational significance of reliable deep strike against logistics is substantial. Russian forces in eastern Ukraine depend heavily on road and rail networks to move ammunition, fuel, food, and replacement personnel from assembly areas to frontline units. Disrupting that flow consistently and at scale degrades combat effectiveness in ways that artillery and frontline pressure alone cannot replicate. The Hornet's AI-assisted targeting, which allows the drone to classify and engage vehicles autonomously in the final phase of its flight, makes it particularly effective in conditions where electronic jamming would otherwise blind a remotely piloted system. Russian electronic warfare operators have described the drone as highly dangerous in operational reports circulated on Russian military blogs. The aerostat launch concept exploits 3 distinct range extension mechanisms simultaneously, as Ukrainian sources described it. First, the aerostat itself carries the drone horizontally toward the target area without any battery drain, effectively adding the balloon's range to the drone's own. Second, the altitude of release, approximately 8 kilometers in this test, provides the drone with a significant potential energy advantage. A drone released at high altitude can glide a considerable distance before its motor even needs to engage, conserving battery power that would otherwise go to the climb phase of powered flight. Third, because the drone arrives at the drop point with nearly its full battery charge intact, it has its complete range envelope available for the powered portion of the mission. The combination of these 3 effects is what produces the claimed doubling of effective range, though the precise figure of 300 kilometers should be treated as an operational estimate pending further documented testing.